kick it off with a little intro. So I guess like fast facts. Tell us a little bit just about yourself, whatever feels important.
Sure. So I live in South Dakota, in the United States. I'm 44. I am married with three kids who are 9, 7, and 4. I'm an attorney here in South Dakota in private practice, and manage my own caseload, and I'm also the managing partner of our law firm. So I have some additional duties on top of that. Um, and have like a great extended family here in my community where I live. Brothers and sisters, mom and dad, in-laws, and so yeah, very fortunate to have an incredible support system of friends and family, and by most measures, like a pretty great life.
Beautiful, man. I love that. I love that. A busy life though, right?
Busy life for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So if you can take yourself all the way back to before you joined Vibrant People, like that initial moment um when you started to reach out and like decided to join, like what actually made you do that in the first place, if you can remember?
Sure. Yeah. So um, I started a an alcohol-free journey in December of last year, and like took like 90 days off from alcohol. Decided to extend that for a year, and did that through like this other program. It's been like super helpful, and like part of my task in that extending it for another year was to set some really specific goals, in particular areas of my life, and one of those is regarding health. And so, one of the things that I wanted to change was, my relationship with exercise and with food, and, try to build a system that is sustainable and, fits in with my busy life and lifestyle. And that was, relatively easy, right? That, even a dummy like me could figure this out and like follow the steps, and have some results. And so I found you, Jake, online, and was just really encouraged by your content, and it seemed to align with a lot of the things I was looking for in my own life. And so kind of took a leap and reached out, and we had that initial conversation, and it was it was really good for me, like just hitting on a lot of the same things that I was after. And so took that leap to get started, and yeah, it's been incredible. I mean, I don't even know how long it's been now. What,
Yeah, I think
four
we're
months?
about, yeah, 4 months now.
Yeah,
And before you did join, like what had you tried, and what didn't, why didn't those things work, do you think, out of what
sure.
you were?
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm a pretty like active person, and do a lot of sports, and walking and cycling and lifting weights like here and there. But never really had a true like comprehensive structure. Have done like some kind of like weight loss things, in the past. It's more or less about kind of like just getting to a certain goal weight, and then what. So
Hmm.
like all of those things were, I guess, in my experience, just not sustainable. While they might have created some results, at least in the short term, like nothing really stuck. And so,
Mm.
why this has been so positive for me is, it's kind of a 360 view of my daily life. What my daily life needs to look like in order for me to achieve, the weight goals and fitness goals and strength goals, and food, um, that I want to achieve. And so, yeah, I mean, none of those things I in the past that I've tried really created a true system for me to follow. And I think I shared this with you in our first conversation, but give me a system to follow, and I'll be a good little soldier and follow the rules. And so, yeah, I mean,
You've
it's been,
definitely stuck to that.
yeah, yeah, right. It's been really good. I mean, well, I mean, and to your credit and Joe's credit, like you made it incredibly easy. I mean, one of the things when I think I initially started is there's a lot of stuff to kind of figure out right away. And that was, maybe I don't know if daunting is the right word, but just like, man, there's always moving pieces and whatever. But once you kind of grasp all that, and you start getting some reps in for a few days or weeks, you really start to see the bigger picture, where
Mhm.
you're hitting those daily goals, whether it's movement and whole foods and protein, and hitting your workouts and mobility workouts. Like you're like, oh yeah, okay, there's like a method to this madness, right? I mean, it's pretty much thought this whole thing through, and it's kind of dummy proof for a guy like me. And so, yeah, I mean, that has been tremendous. So
Yeah, amazing, man. And what was there a particular moment, maybe in those early days, where you thought, this is actually working?
yeah, it's one of those things where there's always like that kind of like excitement phase at the beginning, where you're excited about this new adventure and this new whatever. And and I think what the magic has been for me is when that fades, when we get over that excitement phase, like that system is still there. And you know I know, for me, I want to hit that goal every day. I want to make sure I get that mobility, movement in, or that workout in, and hit my step goals. And it's not just because I want to be accountable to you and the system that I've signed up for, but I want to be accountable to myself and like hit those goals. And like
Mm,
that part has been really, really life changing. I would say is I've got that motivation, whether I am on a normal work day like today, or if I'm on a golf trip, or on a family trip, or traveling for work or something. Like I know exactly how much time it's going to take me to get those things done, and kind of like the small benefits, and then that I'm going to get from that, getting that workout in, um, or instant benefits, but then also how it fits into my bigger picture, bigger goals and things like that. So,
yeah.
that part has been really tremendous. Is the system component of it, just kind of gets ingrained in you after a few weeks, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's so much great stuff in there, Josh, that you brought up, but I think what I was hearing was, I think a big mistake people make is thinking that motivation is just going to carry you through forever, right? But motivation is a very finite resource, right? It ebbs and
Yeah,
flows. You get a big boost at the start, and then you're going to have that big drop at 2 weeks. And that's why most people repeat that cycle, right? Whereas when
yeah,
you focus more on like building the habits and what are those daily non-negotiables that you can do every single day, however small, it's like investing, right? It like compounds over time. And there's always going to be days where you can do big, flamboyant, sexy things like go to do that marathon or do that 2 hour workout or whatever. But those core things are what keeps it all intact and keeps it alive, even on the days where you've got no motivation. It's like there's no time, there's everything's going wrong, all the above.
yeah. Absolutely. I mean, and I have done some of these workouts at 6 o'clock in the morning before a big work day, or at 10 o'clock at night after a long day at the softball fields with my kids, you know, because I am committed to it, and you know, obviously I enjoy the results, but I also just like, have really enjoyed the process, and it's something that I can do for myself, but also, has benefits for my wife and kids, and ripple effects from there on out. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
you're exactly right.
And what are some of the specific results that you are proud of, like physical, mental, lifestyle, like whatever it is?
Yeah. So I think since I joined, I've probably dropped about, you know, depending on the day, like somewhere between 12 and 15 pounds. I'm a silly American, so I don't know how that equates to kilos, but um,
I'm pounds converted now. I know them all.
yeah. So that's a pretty significant drop for me. And but more than anything, I think it's changed my body composition, where like I tend to carry some weight like my lower half, and like that's completely changed in the past 4 months. And I remember talking to you about that, and you're like, yeah, yeah, we can work on that for sure. I'm like, oh, sure. And you were right, right? And what I'm just so struck by the the simplicity and the results of the movements, right? Like what our own bodies are capable of, with repetition and with commitment to doing these things every day. And I'm just blown away by the strength I have in certain areas of my body compared to different times in my life when I was working out like pretty consistently with weights and things like that. You know, so 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 the weight loss, of course. Aesthetically, I think I look better, I feel better, I feel more confident. Um, the energy is absolutely off the charts. You know,
Love
um,
that.
it's and there's a huge benefit from not consuming alcohol either. And that so there's some major
100%.
energy benefits there, some sleep benefits, but then you add on some consistent movement and exercise. And it's like you just kind of crank your body up a little bit to kind of a different level. So that allows me to be more present with my, in my work,
Mhm.
with my wife and my children, be able to, meet the moment, whatever that is, and whatever role I have in my life.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Amazing, man. And on the, you, like you said, you were like, Jake, I will follow through. Like, if you give me the system and the support, like, I will take action. And you obviously have 100% been dedicated to that. So beyond your obvious natural ability to take action, what do you feel has allowed you to stay consistent throughout this process?
I think it is the mentality of progress, not perfection. And
Mm.
that's something that you shared with me very early on. And maybe even in like the follow-up call, did we do like a follow-up call maybe like 2 weeks in or something?
Hmm.
And I think I was like, maybe beating myself up over like, my macros for my protein were a little bit off from meal to meal or something like that. And you're like, come on, right? Like we're talking about like a whole year's worth of meals, and we want to hit consistent macros across you know average on like across days. Not that this is like this hyper focus, you have to hit these macros every single day or else. And that was a real mind shift for me. So and then that applies to not only to food but to exercise. So it's like, you know if you don't hit the exact movement or the exact assigned exercise that day, you need to modify the exercise for some reason. Like that's a heck of a lot better than doing absolutely nothing, or like giving up on yourself and saying, well, I didn't hit my macro goal today, so I guess I'll just go back to eating pizza, or whatever it is, like this, all or nothing mentality. That part has been a real game changer. And so, allowing yourself the ability to succeed, but also to, maybe fail a little bit is really helpful. Um, and just allows me to have some freedom within the system, to make those long-term goals, and not have this like all or nothing mentality of, I either or succeed or fail on a daily basis. Like every day I'm succeeding if I'm, meeting a bunch of these different things that we're encouraged to meet, whether it's the movement goal, the protein, all these different things. And so even on a day that's really tough, or you're stuck in an airport or something like that, and you can make small choices about, I'm going to go get a protein meal from this place in the airport, as opposed to eating something terrible. Or I'm going to take a lap around this terminal, to get some steps in, as opposed to just sitting there on my phone or iPad or something like that. Like these are really small but impactful mindset shifts for me, that I think have paid and will pay dividends, over the months to come.
Yeah, amazing, man, amazing. Yeah, I love both of those points that you made there. The first one, just I guess taking opportunities, right? Like seizing those moments, like however imperfect, just doing like what you can in the situation. And then the other one is just the perfection thing. I think kind of alluding to what you said there, like most of the time when people fail any kind of new venture, whether it's in the health and fitness or business or whatever it is, it's because it's our own minds that hold us back. They create the problems, and that all or nothing thing, it's kind of the way I always frame it, to make kind of almost like a laughing stock of it, is to go, well, okay, you had a 60-minute workout planned and it was in the gym and you were doing exercises XYZ. That's your current perfect. If you don't do that, you feel like you failed, right? What's the point? I give up. But what if we then change that workout to 75 minutes? Does the 60 minutes then become invalid, right? Is that
Yeah.
then not perfect, right? So when you say it like that, it's kind of like, oh yeah, there is no such thing as perfect. And it's actually just about doing some kind of action to the best of our ability in the scenario that we find ourselves in.
Yeah. Right.
And it adds up.
100%. And I think the other thing that originally caught my eye about you and your program is, again, the body weight component of it, but also wherever you are is where the gym is. And the whole notion of, I've got to like put on these special clothes and get my special shoes on and drive to the gym and do my thing. And then, you know what I mean? Like there's so much time lost doing that. And then it also creates this scenario where you can set yourself up for failure. Like you're talking about, like, oh, I'm going to go work out in the gym for 60 minutes, but I ran out of time. Something came up. Oh, that didn't meet the moment. So instead you got, I can message you and Joe and be like, hey, I'm in a hotel room. I don't have a pull-up bar. No problem. Here's a different workout. And, and so like that component of is like, I am an all-inclusive package. Like I don't need anything else in order to meet my fitness goals, whether they're big or small.
Mm-hmm.
It's really amazing. I've just been so impressed and blown away by, how difficult we can make it for our own bodies to lift itself, and see like real results. But just the convenience of when and where you can get those things done is really amazing. Really amazing.
Brilliant, man. And I, I guess like during the process so far, obviously it's not the end of the journey so far, but in the last 4 months, like what has been the biggest challenge? And assuming that it's not a challenge now, like how did you overcome it? I don't know if anything comes to mind.
Hmm. Biggest challenge.
Or we could go setback, wobble, however you want to frame it.
Yeah, I think there's moments where I get to say like there's been a lot of travel actually, like in these 4 months, for different, different events, whether it's with family or with the guys, like with some buddies. And so those moments, I mean, just naturally create a little bit of challenge to stick to this system, both with the exercise and with food. And so, those have been moments in the past probably where I got derailed on whatever fitness journey I was on, whether it was a food thing or, trying to stick to a workout plan. And, it's easy to go on those things and knock yourself off of, whatever path you're on. And then really having a hard time getting back on the horse, not to continue to switch analogies here, but so that component has been very helpful and pretty good tests because, um, again, because the gym is wherever I'm at, I can do a lot of these things. Or even if I miss one, I can make it up. Or I can just shrug it off and go, who gives a shit? Right.
Yeah, man.
I'll do it better the next day. And if I have 3 opportunities in a day to, eat something while I'm on a trip, I get a choice each time to lean into a more protein centric or whole food centric meal choice, or even maybe sneak a protein shake in my bag, for a trip or something like that. And similarly for dinner, whatever it is. So like my mind is automatically looking for opportunities to, be consistent with my goals, not because I feel like I'm in some restrictive system. Far from
Mm,
it. Like it's because I have this big goal and big why in my mind, and my mind is naturally drawn to like, oh, there's a really good looking steak with asparagus on the menu. Like that looks great. I'm gonna do that. Not only does it taste
mm,
good, it's gonna fit right in with what I'm after. Um,
yeah, exactly.
so, so those events and trips are have been, challenges that I have passed, I guess, in my own mind, that I'm able to enjoy those fun things and enjoy those fun trips without setting myself back, and like kind of derailing my progress.
Amazing, man. Amazing. I mean, I could ask you questions all day, but on that note, assuming that you've encountered those situations before when you've been doing other stuff and there've been things that often derail you, and then assuming now that it's not just pure willpower and discipline that's making you go, oh, I'm going to do everything perfect and 100% stick to it, because we know you're not doing that either, right? There's some flexibility. What do you think people misunderstand about things like socializing, travel, like eating food for pleasure, being like all those things? What do you think they misunderstand about that and get it wrong when they are trying to like get in shape and get fitter?
Well, I'll speak from my own personal experience. Like, I think in the past, like I thought of, you know, socializing and vacations, as like my, time off, from whatever my fitness journey was or food journey was at the moment. Like I'm gonna give myself the day off or the night off or something like that. I think that's just a false notion that we're creating in our minds unnecessarily. I know I did, because you can literally have your cake and eat it too. Where you can have a piece of cake and the world's not going to end. And you can it absolutely fits in with a healthy lifestyle. And in the past I thought that I couldn't do that, or like 2 or 3 slices of pizza, you know on a given night fits in with a healthy lifestyle, right? Same thing with you want to travel to France and eat your way through France, like go for it, right? That like there's nothing stopping you from doing that while also keeping in mind your big goals and big whys.
Mm.
So that part has been like truly game changing for me. And I, I no longer like have a sense of worry about an event or a trip or anything like that being like, oh man, here we go. I'm going to have to, really stick to my whatever. It's like we live in such a diet culture
Hmm.
that like it's a like this whole industry really sells an all or nothing mentality. It's just a marketing thing, I think,
Yeah.
probably. And that's just absolutely not true. So
Yeah.
that's been, I think that if anything, like that has been a real game changer for me.
That's amazing, man. I love that. And that's the thing, isn't it? This isn't a diet. Like
No.
it's just life, right? It's just
Yeah.
choices. And
Mhm.
I think just adding on to what you said there, from my perspective, what I see is that as humans, for some reason, with certain situations, we just relinquish responsibility, even though we've been the one to decide to do it. Oh, I'm not in control, so I'm gonna just completely not accept responsibility for my own choices. And suddenly, whether you're choosing the pizza or you're choosing the salad, you own the choice and you take responsibility for it. And within the big picture, like it all works. And you've got rid of the guilt, the emotion, the all or nothing, the shame, all connected to it. And suddenly it's just a choice that you own that fits as part of your big vision.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, because of this program, like my choices naturally migrate to the whole foods and those things, what regardless of the setting I'm in. And sometimes like I almost can't wait to get home to get back into my routine a little bit and eat the things that I make for myself on a daily basis because they make me feel good and they taste good. And then get back into my fitness routine. It's just weird, right? It's just like I of course I love to travel and all those things. I literally just booked a trip to England in November this morning.
Oh,
So I'm
nice.
excited for that. Yeah, excited for that, and it's going to be wonderful. Just sent my wife and friends a picture of an traditional English breakfast. Like, here's what we're looking forward to. You know, but like I love those things, but I'm starting to love just as much like being at home in my own routine and my it's great. So like that's a big mind shift for me too. The other thing that I want to mention that while it's on the top of my mind is the shift for me in food and like focusing on whole foods is has also trickled down to my wife and kids, right? So, naturally, because dad's eating this, we're going to shift a little bit to that. And I mean, not certainly not to the extent I am, but being able to model that for them when they're 9, 7, and 4 is going to have a positive impact for them long term. That they're gonna understand the difference between whole foods and processed foods. And while this one makes us feel good and has longer lasting energy, this one tastes good, but it's not as good for us. Again, not trying to create this like, good versus evil thing. Just have them understand that there's a difference in these types of foods, and one is better for you, and one's not as good for you.
Yeah, man. I love that. I love that. That kids are like a mirror, right? Like they copy our actions, not really what we say. We
Yeah.
wish they listen to what we say, but they just copy what we do. And I with the challenges that people are facing around their health in the modern world, the gift of being able to teach your child to make like informed and responsible choices. Like they might not ever realize it, but when they do, and if they ever do, they'll be like, "Wow, that was like a powerful gift that my father gave me for sure."
Mhm. Absolutely.
So someone's watching this, they're sat on the fence, like they're kind of like, kind of interested, but I'm not sure. Maybe it's a big investment, or maybe it's not worth. I don't know if it's going to work. Whatever the doubts or stories they tell themselves, right? completely honest, like 100% candid, like whatever you want to say, what would you say to that person?
It is 100% worth the financial investment without question. Um, it is one of those things that will be, I would say, one of the greatest returns on investments you could make. Where I think, and this isn't my own thought, but something I read recently that a fit body will become as rare as the rarest car, right, in the next 5 to 10 years, which is kind of terrifying. And what a gift you can give yourself and your family and your business and all those things in your life, than to be physically healthy, and flexible and mobile, um, because it's going to reduce costs for health related things. I'm sure. It's like the best preventative care you could probably invest in is simply just taking care of yourself and eating healthy. It'll eliminate all kinds of different things that could come your way if you're sedentary or eating mostly processed foods. Um, and you're going to feel great and look great. If you're the type of person who can stick to a system, um, and really commit to it, I mean, give yourself the opportunity to succeed. Because it may very well, or most likely will, change your whole life. And for me, the best component of it is, I know after 4 months or whatever it's been, like this is a practice that I can sustain for the rest of my life. And I've never felt that way about another program or another system that I've tried in the past, where I felt like I had an end goal in mind, and then I got to that end goal and it was like, well, now what? This is something that I know for sure I'll be able to sustain, because I enjoy it. I enjoy the process. I like the way it makes me feel and look, and I like who it makes me for the folks in my life that count on me.
Beautiful, man. Absolutely beautiful. And I guess last question, what is next? Right? We're 4 months in. Like, what are we working? What's the next goal? What do you want to achieve?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I appreciate where I'm at. I want to continue to focus on, or really want to focus on my food, and creating repeatable meals that I can kind of get dialed in on a weekly basis for both me and my family. Things that we really enjoy to eat. And so tweaking that process and building that into our kind of weekly routines, is something that I'm looking forward to. Um, is as far as, like, the fitness journey goes, like, just kind of seeing where this takes us, right? I mean, it's amazing the progress that I've made in the past few months, with my body composition. And so working with you and Joe to see what are the next steps here, like whether those are gains or, like particular strength goals. But continuing to set goals and see what's possible, I think is important for me, to not be complacent, and also fun.
Yeah.
So if it's a pull up goal or a push up goal, or whatever it is. Um, and I would also like to, maybe explore a little different type of vacation. When I do invest in some travel, whether that's a little bit more active, whether it's climbing a mountain or something like that. Um, just maybe like kicking the tires on this old body of
Love
mine,
it.
you
Love it,
know.
man. Well, when you're in England, if you come down to Cornwall, we can get in the sea and do some surfing if you fancy it.
There we go. Love it.
Whereabouts are you going in England, by the way?
We're going to be in London for a few days, and then we'll be in Paris for a few days for a concert. It'll be actually my wife's birthday.
Oh, nice, man. Beautiful. Well, yeah, Josh, honestly, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day today. Honestly, like you promised, your commitment has been absolutely incredible. And I mean, the results are just a testament to the actions that you've taken, right? Like you had the system, you had the support, but like no one can do it for you other than yourself. So massive kudos to that. Can't wait to see what the next few months bring and where we go from there. And yeah, absolute pleasure, man. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Jake. Can't thank you enough for building this system and the encouragement, on a regular and daily basis, and truly amazing. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.